Good morning and welcome once again to yet another session of Oyster, starting on 22nd of January 2023. As usual, we start with a reading of A New Earth. Work with and without ego. Most people have moments when they are free of ego. Those who are exceptionally good at work, good at what they do, may be completely or largely free of ego while performing their work. They may not know it, but their work has become a spiritual practice. Most of them are present while they do their work and fall back into relative unconsciousness in their private life. This means their state of presence is for the time being confined to one area of their life. I have met teachers, artists, nurses, doctors, scientists, social workers, waiters, hairdressers, business owners, and salespeople who perform their work admirably without any self seeking, fully responding to whatever the moment requires of them. They are one with what they do, one with the now, one with the people or the task they serve. The influence, such, the influence such people have upon others goes far beyond the function they perform. They bring about a lessening of the ego in everyone who comes into contact with them. Even people with heavy egos sometimes begin to relax, let down their guard, and stop playing their roles when they interact with them. It comes as no surprise that those people who work without ego are extraordinarily successful at what they do. Anybody who is one with what he does or he or she does is building the new earth. Point to be noted. I repeat this paragraph. Work with and without ego.
Beautiful, beautiful. Please read it again. Please read it again.
Most people have moments when they are free of ego. Those who are exceptionally good at what they do may be completely or largely free of ego while performing their work. They may not know it, but their work has become a spiritual practice. Most of them are present while they do their work and fall back into relative unconsciousness in their private life. This means their state of presence is for the time being confined to one area of their life. I have met teachers, artists, nurses, doctors, scientists, social workers, waiters, hairdressers, business owners, and salespeople who perform their work admirably without any self seeking,
Uh, Beautiful.
without any self seeking, fully responding to whatever the moment requires of them. They are one with what they do, one with the now, one with the people or the task they serve. The influence such people have upon others goes far beyond the function they perform. They bring about a lessening of the ego in everyone who comes into contact with them. Even people with heavy egos sometimes begin to relax, let down their guard, stop playing their roles when they interact with them. It comes as no surprise that those people who work without ego are extraordinarily successful at what they do. Anyone who is one with what he or she does is building a new earth.
I will stop here for a while because this is profound and I'm quite in it personally. So I'm very keen to invite all my friends into this ocean from the small tanks and ponds and lakes where they're swimming at this moment without any aspersion to anyone. In the last Wednesday, I had volunteered into a morning satsang by our Acharya, very wonderful man. And there was a guest who was also sharing his views. And then I was feeling that the way to enlightenment is essentially, or can be essentially, effortless. I can say this with conviction because I have transcended many processes through which I was exploring enlightenment. This is the first time a master, profound self-realized master in the form of Eckhart Tolle, has, like a Zen master, touched me. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm just sharing my own vibrations with you, with an excitement and passion that even one person is tinkled or trickled or triggered to jump into this will bless his stars. Because this is the way the new earth is happening. And you need to get away from all sanskars, which are like जंजीर चारों तरफ से हमें बांध के रखा है, जो आपको छोड़ना है एक दिन ना एक दिन. इस जन्म में नहीं छोड़ोगे तो अगले जन्म में छोड़ोगे, अगले से अगले से अगले से अगले से. ये एक बंदा है एकर्ट टोले, ये पूरे डिस्कोर्स में कोई कोटेशन नहीं मारा. He has mentioned about Jesus, about Buddha, about Hindu religion, about Nisargadatta, about Ramana Maharishi, everyone he has mentioned. But he has not mentioned as a quotation. He has mentioned as his present moment connection and validity. He has used those as a validation of his present moment passion. Present moment passion is not the right word. Present moment excitement, realization, joy, ecstasy, bliss in which he swims, you know. That's why I call it an ocean. जितने जल्दी हम लोग ये सारी पुरानी छोड़, ये सब संस्कार और ये सब किताब और ये सब रिचुअल्स और ये सब वेद वेदांत का श्लोका, ये सब छोड़ करके सीधा सीधा इधर नेचर में आएंगे, काम झटके से बन जाएगा, एक सेकंड में बन जाएगा. ये इतनी कठिन काम नहीं है, कम से कम आपके और हमारे लिए. वो सब जरूरी है टॉडलर्स के लिए, जो टॉडल कर रहा है, जो एकदम बैफल्ड है, दुनिया में फंसे हुए हैं, वो नहीं निकल सकते, उनके लिए ये सब जरूरी है. ऑयस्टेरियंस के लिए जरूरी नहीं है. This is the highest level of spirituality which we are exploring here. We need not have a saffron, we need not have a beard, we need not pretend to be a saint or something. Most of them do. All these will only keep you down. Here is a man who is directly introducing you with the platform or pedestal, stepping into where you will experience the flowering of the lotus. Everything will change. Your communication will change. Your lifestyle will change. Your aspirations will change. Your goals will change. Your mission will change. Your family will be happier. Your job will be exciting. Your creativity will flourish. You name it. किसी भी जगह में आपको एक्सेलेंस चाहिए, यह है तरीका. इसीलिए पीछे पड़ा हूं इतने दिन से पागल की तरह. हाथ पैर जोड़ रहा हूं, पढ़ ले भाई, पढ़ ले भाई, पढ़ ले, क्योंकि इसमें वो सारे रिचुअल से निकलने का तरीका बताया है। और जैसे कि हमने उस दिन की मीटिंग में बोला था, आप सब नहीं थे, इधर से कपिल और अदिति थे, उधर मैंने बोला था कि एनलाइटनमेंट कुछ करने से नहीं होता है, नहीं करने से होता है। चिन्मय मिशन में भी मैं इसको यूज कर रहा हूं वैलिडेशन के लिए। चिन्मयानंद ने बहुत सुंदर शब्द यूज किया था, इनएक्शन नहीं, देयर इज अ रेल्म कॉल्ड अनएक्शन। ये क्या है, ये समझ में आए तो चीज क्लियर हो जाएगा। इनएक्शन नहीं, इनएक्शन तो डेड है, वो तो तामसिक है, वो तो मूव नहीं करता, वो तो 350 सीसी बुलेट है विंटर में जो स्टार्ट नहीं होता किक मारने से, वो है तामसिक। और अनएक्शन क्या है, फोर्थ गियर में या फिफ्थ गियर में गाड़ी को डाल दो और गाना गाते गाते निकलो, एक्शन ही नहीं है कोई, अनएक्शन। ये है अनएक्शन। हम बहुत ज्यादा एक्शन में फंस गए हैं, और जितने दिन ये एक्शन में फंसे रहेंगे, ये रास्ता नहीं मिलेगा, ये आनंद का रास्ता, ये एंजॉयमेंट का रास्ता, मस्ती से काम होते चले जाना और खुद इंस्ट्रूमेंट बन जाना। इस चीज को फील करें। ये पैराग्राफ अगर हर रोज हम एकदम मनी मन पढ़े, नॉट एज अ रिचुअल, वंस अगेन खड़े होके, नो नो नो, नॉट दैट, जस्ट रीड इट, जस्ट फील इट, जस्ट अलाउ द वर्ड्स टू सीप इन, हर रोज आपकी जिंदगी बदल जाएगी, आपका काम बदल जाएगा, आपके तरीके बदल जाएंगे, आपकी लाइफ के हैप्पीनेस कोशेंट्स में एक रेवोल्यूशन हो जाएगा। आप मेरी एक्साइटमेंट देख रहे हैं, मैं वक्ता बन के ये बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, प्यार से आपसे शेयर कर रहा हूं। मैं थोड़ा ज्यादा कहता हूं, लोग सोचता है कि इतना ज्यादा क्यों बोलता है, ये मेरा पागलपन है, पगला गया हूं मैं इस आनंद से। और जब बंदा पगला जाता है ना, तब उतौला हो जाता है कि किस तरह से ये मैं पागल बनाऊं लोगों को। सारे ने पागल ही तो बनाया था, जो पागल बने थे लोगों को पागल ही तो बनाया था। चलो आगे बढ़ो।
I have also met many others who may be technically good at what they do, but whose ego constantly sabotages their work. Only part of their attention is on the work they perform, the other part is on themselves. Their ego demands personal recognition and wastes energy in resentment if it doesn't get enough. And it's never enough. Is someone else getting more recognition than me? Or their main focus of attention is profit or power, and their work is no more than a means to that end? When work is no more than a means to an end, it cannot be of high quality. When obstacles or difficulties arise in that work, when things don't go according to expectation, when other people or circumstances are not helpful or cooperative, instead of immediately becoming one with the new situation and responding to the requirements of the present moment, they react against the situation and so separate themselves from it. There is a me that feels personally offended or resentful, and a huge amount of energy is burned up in useless protest or anger, energy that could be used for solving the situation if it were not being misused by the ego. What is more, this anti energy creates new obstacles, new opposition. Many people are truly their own worst enemy. Wow.
Wait a little. Imagine yourself being completely out of the initiative to feel or convey to anybody around you You insult me. How can you encroach into my business? When you have lost this intention, you are on the realm of enlightenment. That is called reaction. 24/7, we become reactive. And that is the signal that we are caught up by ego. We can only allow other people to insult us. Nobody has time to insult you. You feel insulted because you are caught up somewhere in the past. What the hell? How can you say this to me? Are, who are you, Baba? Let him say. एक बार ऑपरेशन ने क्लास में किसी को गधा बता दिया था. फाउल माउथ था ना, बहुत स्लैंग बोलता था. So he was a rich man and he stood up and said, hold your tongue. I've come to learn from you. How can you call me a gadha? And I was assisting him in the class. The boss just smiled and said, Oshik, I was just joking. How do I know? मैं सच बोल दिया. देखो ये गधा जैसे चिल्ला रहा है. मैं तो मजाक किया था. मुझे क्या पता मैं सच बोल दिया. I can't forget. ऐसा वो सिखाता था रियल लाइफ में. फिर बोला उसके पीठ में हाथ रख के, तेरा 2 हाथ है, 2 पैर है, गधे का 4 पैर है यार, तू कहां गधा है? मैं बोलने से तू क्यों परेशान हो रहा है? तू जो है तो वही है ना. इस पागल को कहने दे तुझे गधा, तू क्यों परेशान हो रहा है? तब वो बैठ गया. Whole class boisterously laughed. And this fellow was embarrassed and he sat down and he head down. Jate jate he went up to him and said, very sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
People unknowingly sabotage their own work when they withhold help or information from others or try to undermine them lest they become more successful and get more credit than me. Cooperation is alien to the ego, except when there is a secondary motive. The ego doesn't know that the more you include others, the more smoothly things will flow and more easily things come to you. When you give little or no help to others or put obstacles in their path, the universe, in form of people and circumstances, gives little or no help to you because you have cut yourself off from the whole. The ego's unconscious core feeling of not enough causes it to react to someone else's success as if that success had taken something away from me. It doesn't know that your resentment of another person's success curtails your own chances of success. In order to attract success, you need to welcome it wherever you see it. Wow.
एक सेकेंड आप जरा सोचिए किस लेवल पे रहता है होगा ये. What is the level where he works and what is my level? My means you. Everyone is my. अपना लेवल को देखो, कहां तुम ऑपरेट कर रहे हो, अपने रिएक्शंस को देखो, और ये बंदा जो ऐसा लिख रहा है सच में वो कहां रहता होगा, किस लेवल पे रहता होगा, ताकि ऐसा वो कर सकता है भला कोई इंसान. Who can do like this? How many times we are victims of envy? How many times we regret for our situations? How many times we are bogged down with doubts, fear, insecurity, uncertainties. These are our definitions in which we thrive. And we so much love it. उसको छोड़ना नहीं चाहते हम, उधर ही रहना चाहते हैं. जिसने भी परसुएट करो पागल की तरह, इलास्टिक जैसा उधर ही वापस आएगा, वो करेगा नहीं. He will not change. He or she will stay there. और ये बंदा जो लिख रहा है, उसका सोच किस लेवल पे होगा जो कि ऐसा वो लिख रहा है, ये बता रहा है. तभी मैं इसको ज़ेन मास्टर कहता हूं. ये लिख नहीं रहा है, ये अपना संगत दे रहा है, हमें कंपेनियनशिप दे रहा है, वाइब्रेशन दे रहा है. क्यों? ही इज लाइक दैट. उसको पर्सनली मैं कोई उसका फॉलोअर नहीं हूं, ना किसी को कहता हूं उसको फॉलो कर. बट जस्ट फील द लेवल in which he walks, and he's sharing this level with us. A new worth is a sharing phenomenon. It's not a reading phenomenon. कोई और पढ़ेगा?
I will read. The ego in illness. An illness can neither strengthen or weaken the ego. If you complain, feel self-pity, or resent being ill, your ego becomes stronger. It also becomes stronger if you make the illness part of your conceptual identity. I am a sufferer of such and such disease. So now we know who you are. Some people, on the other hand, who in normal life have a big ego, suddenly become gentle and kind and much nicer people when they are ill. They may gain insights they may never have had in their normal life. They may access their inner knowing and contentment and speak words of wisdom. Then, when they get better, energy returns and so does the ego.
One second. आप में से कितने लोग वो फिल्म देखा था, आनंद? मेरे लाइफ के वन ऑफ द बेस्ट फिल्म्स है. राजेश खन्ना का आनंद.
Yes, sir.
उसने अपने डिजीज को इसी एंगल से मेटाफोरिकली वो स्टोरी बनाया था. उसका डायरेक्टर भी इतना शार्प, इतना हाई लेवल के थे, और उसकी एक्टिंग भी कितनी जबरदस्त था उस राजेश खन्ना का. कोई नहीं भुला पाएगा. सलील चौधरी की म्यूजिक थी वो. हर गाना, हर चीज, वो बंदा अपने डिजीज को कैसे लिया. His disease was a result of his past, but when he was enlightened, he came to the present and he could just leave it with such a severe cancer. That's a metaphor about this reality he's talking about. Aditi, go ahead.
When you are ill, your energy level is quite low, and the intelligence of the organism may take over and use the remaining energy for the healing of the body. And so there is not enough left for the mind. So is to say egoic thinking and emotion. The ego burns up considerable amount of energy. In some cases, however, the ego retains the little energy that remains and uses it for its own purposes. Needless to say, those people who experience a strengthening of the ego in illness take much longer to recover. Some never do. And so the illness becomes chronic and permanent part of their false sense of self.
I would request you to read this paragraph again, but after I share something with you.
Yes.
I had the opportunity of being with a family where the father was an embodiment of arrogance, extreme arrogance. I mean, he was kind of a Hitler. Everyone in the family was threatened. Very good human being, personally. I know his good part. but his behavior was so obnoxious. Everyone, nobody will work with that family. Even the domestic helps would leave the job. He will be chasing and critical. Man, oh, jabardast kharab. And he used to have diabetic attacks very often. His sugar will fall and he will be. I have seen this man becoming a bunch of cotton. And he will beg. He will become so much filled with humility when he is in the bed. Nobody can believe that such a man can talk like that. Oh, I am so crazy. You guys are doing so much for me. I am always critical to you. Oh my God, please forgive me. I will change myself. He will say all good things when he is ill. In 3 days, when he's back, oh boy, he is back in the same game. And I tried to remind him कि दादा जब आप बीमार होते थे तो आप कितनी अच्छी बात करते थे. वो मैं गलत कहता था, अभी मैं ठीक कह रहा हूं. These people deserve this treatment.
Exactly.
Next time he will fall, once again he will say the same thing. अभी पढ़ो इसको.
So when you are ill, your energy level is quite low, and the intelligence of the organism may take over and use the remaining energy for healing of the body. And so there is not much left for the mind. That is to say, egoic thinking and emotion. The ego burns up considerable amount of energy. In some cases, however, the ego retains the little energy that remains and uses it for its own purposes. Needless to say, those people who experience a strengthening of the ego in illness take much longer to recover. Some never do, and so the illness becomes chronic and a permanent part of their false sense of self.
क्या realization.
Shall I read ahead?
Yeah.
The collective ego. How hard it is to live with yourself. One of the ways in which the ego attempts to escape the unsatisfactoriness of personal selfhood is to enlarge and strengthen its sense of self by identifying with a group, a nation, a political party, corporation, institution, sect, club, gang, football team. In some cases, the personal ego seems to dissolve completely as someone dedicates his or her life to working selflessly for greater good of the collective without demanding personal rewards, recognition, or aggrandizement. What a relief to be freed of the dreadful burden of personal self. The members of the collective feel happy and fulfilled, no matter how hard they work, how many sacrifices they make. They appear to have gone beyond ego. The question is, have they truly become free? Or has the ego simply shifted from personal to the collective?
Ah, in the introductories, we always say that first it is me alone. And then a person becomes little transcended to the next level. He says, not me alone, me, my wife, my child. This world is for us. And after the first 3 years of marriage, a little longer perhaps, maybe 10 years or so, then they forget what they told their wife or husband 10 years ago. And then they said, I must go out and become a member of the Rotary Club or the Lions Club or Excellier Center. I must do something for the society. So he was a frog of the well. Slowly, he's going to the ocean, pond, And finally, when they become Eckhart Tolle or Rabindranath Tagore, then they will cite in every door I have a home, in every country I have a country. हर घर में मेरा घर है, हर देश में मेरा देश है. And then they become the frog of the ocean. That is the evolution process. And this is the level which is our target at this moment. This is the level where we need to be conscious. एक आइडियल चाहिए ना, एक गोल तो सामने चाहिए, एक तो विजन सामने चाहिए. This is the vision. So we are only looking for our own identity. And then we cannot forget, I am brigadier such and such, or I am group captain such and such, or perhaps air commodore or something like that, or perhaps I'm a Rotarian. He will write, I mean, these lion people, we have got many of them in the fraternity. They said, write lion before my name. I said, why you regret being a human?
That's right.
Chalo. Pado.
A collective ego manifests the same characteristics as the personal ego, such as the need for conflict and enemies, the need for more, the need to be right against others who are wrong, and so on. Sooner or later, the collective will come into conflict with the other collectives because it unconsciously seeks conflict and it needs opposition to define its boundary and thus its identity. Its members will then experience the suffering that inevitably comes in the wake of any ego motivated action. At that point, they may wake up and realize that their collective has a strong element of insanity. It can be painful at first to suddenly wake up and realize that the collective you had identified with and worked for is actually insane. Some people at that point become cynical or bitter and henceforth deny all values, all worth. This means that they quickly adopted another belief system when the previous one was recognized as illusory and therefore collapsed. They did not see the death of their ego but ran away and reincarnated into a new one.
Now, tell me one thing, each one of you. What do you feel about a belief system? Is it an handicap? Or is it something very precious to hold on to?
In this light, it is like a collective ego. It's you kind of collect around like-minded people, and you follow up a belief system on that.
And the most important is, are you able to feel, Kapil, there is a possibility of an existential life without a belief system? That is the question.
Absolutely.
Then the door has opened. If you are in a position to feel, yeah, I can enter into that zone where I will have no belief system at all. It is not utopic. That's a reality where I can dwell. Boy, you have made it. Any more light? Aditi?
Recently, my partner was in London and he went to see one of these European Premier League football matches. एक वो क्रिसमस के अगले दिन होता है. It's quite a popular Arsenal versus this thing. And he was telling me he was stunned by the fan following each club has. I mean, it's like a religion for them. They have something like 20 odd anthems in the club. And for the 2 hours that he was there in the stadium, nobody sits down. For every goal, they had a song. That was the kind of collective frenzy they had for that club. He said he had never experienced that before, where there were two opposing teams and two opposing sets of fans. So the bigger match was happening in the stands rather than on the field.
I'm an eyewitness, being a Calcuttan, brought up there in the
Hmm.
schools,
Hmm.
the land of football.
Yeah.
There used to be riot, a small mini riot outside the gardens, outside the Eden Gardens,
Hmm.
or whichever gardens, Mohan Bagan Garden, or when there
Mohan
is,
Bagan, yes.
Mohan Bagan versus East Bengal.
yeah, not East Bengal. That was a small thing.
Hmm.
Big thing was Mohan Bagan versus Mohammedan
Mohammedan
Sporting.
Sporting.
Yes.
There used to be a riot.
Hmm.
Arghandu, any eyewitness on that?
कलकत्ता के अंदर जिस टीम जीतती थी उसके फिश के रेट्स बढ़ जाते थे.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
But I mean, and this friend of mine has been in Calcutta. He's lived in Calcutta, and he said Calcutta was nothing in front of what I saw in England. So you can imagine how many more times it is magnified. And which is why English football fans are the most rowdy elements. People fear them the most.
How insecure they are.
वही तो कलेक्टिव ईगो देखो ना, एक क्लब के आसपास ही इतना वो जुड़ गए, इतनी ज्यादा आइडेंटिफिकेशन हो गई है. Everybody is wearing the same t-shirt, same flags.
ये fanatics है, fanatics.
That is the kind of frenzy they have created, and it's all marketing. It's all marketing. Be it Manchester United or Liverpool or this thing, it's just pure marketing.
It's coming out of the need for affiliation of a human being.
Need to be
but
elected.
We get so eluded.
Which is where this paragraph comes in, need to be connected to a belief system.
Yeah.
This great man, Jiddu Krishnamurti, was very highly enlightened, and he used to operate at that level. So when he worked for education, I have recommended his book to many people, and many people have read it. Many of them have put their children in his schools. And that book says everything about the new education system, which he envisioned, which is similar to Rabindranath Tagore, and a little of which we are trying to explore in Vikashalaya. So when Krishnamurti made his first school, I went to see that in Chennai. He first named it as some school. I mean, his people who made the school gave it a name, and who he was called to finally address in that premises, he says, no, I would not approve this naming business, because this will be another school then. Then how can we run the school without a name? This is why you name it school. And this school runs. I went to see that school. Krishnamurti called it a school. That is the first school he made. He said it should be generic, no brand. Brand means war. Marketing warfare. There is a big book people buy.
Jack Scout, yes.
Al Rice and Jack Scott.
Yeah.
I met the son of Krishnamurti, J. Krishnamurti, in Chennai.
When did he marry?
I don't know, but he said he delivered a lecture in a Theosophical Society. I don't know.
No, you do not have to marry to have a son. That's
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Name is the school, and there's another school 2 hours near Chennai, which is known as Pathshala.
Mhm.
Collective ego prevails to a large extent in our political system, political parties.
Full extent.
Full extent.
Yeah.
Very true. Full extent.
In fact, that's what politics is all about.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Shall I read ahead?
Yeah, please.
It can be painful at first to suddenly wake up and realize that the collective you had identified with and worked for is actually insane. Some people at that point become cynical or bitter or henceforth deny all values, all worth. This means that they quickly adopted another belief system when the previous one was recognized as illusory and therefore collapsed. They didn't face the death of their ego but ran away and reincarnated into a new one. A collective ego is usually more unconscious than the individuals that make up that ego. For example, crowds, which are temporary collective egoic entities, are capable of committing atrocities that the individual away from the crowd would not be.
I remember Bajrang Dal and,
Yes.
and Bal Thackeray.
Exactly.
Shiva
Shiv
Sena.
Sena,
Even Ashit, even university, I remember elections and
university.
दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में तो उस जमाने में हमारे जमाने स्टैंडर्ड होता है इलेक्शन हुई है वो स्ट्राइक हुई है तो डीटीसी की बसें तोड़ने लग जाओ.
Exactly.
And I actually witnessed, I mean, puny little guys who would be sitting absolute introverts in the class, लाठी लेके शीशे तोड़ रहे. मैं कहीं इसमें इतनी कहाँ से हिम्मत आ गई? But that's
देखिए
what
कितने जन्मों
mob
का
frenzy.
एंगर,
हाँ
कितने जन्मों का एंगर पाल रहे हैं दिमाग में.
हाँ.
प्रारब्ध पुराने जन्मों का.
हम्म.
पता नहीं किसको मार के कितने लोगों को खत्म करके आए हैं, इधर जन्म लिया है. अब वो निकालेगा कहां से? वो बिहेवियर निकलेगा कैसे? सबकॉन्शियस माइंड में है ना.
Yeah.
And subconscious mind is not limited to this birth, birth and death cycle. This is not life. This is life situation, as he says. Effectively. अनंत जीवन से चल रहा है. How many of you read that book? I recommend you read this book. Brilliant book. Brilliant. I mean, $1 million bestseller. Many masters, many lives.
Yeah.
Many lives, many masters. Yes.
Brian Weiss.
Brian Weiss.
This
I
fellow
read it a
starts
long
the
time
book.
back.
This gentleman, this great psychologist.
Brian Weiss.
Psychiatrist.
Yeah. And he starts the book by writing, anybody who doubts what I've written here can reach out to me and I'll send him all the cassettes, all the video recordings, not, recording, audio recording of the hypnosis we have done with this lady.
Right.
उस लेडी को हिप्नोटाइज करके उसने 9 जन्म पहले ले गया था और वो चिल्ला रही है. When she is hypnotized, she is चिल्ला रही. Her voice has changed like a male. He was a captain in a ship and he was dying. गोली लग गया था उसको 7-8 जन्म पहले और वो चिल्ला के बोल रहा है, वो क्या हो तुम, क्या हो? फिर उसका नाम बोल रहा है, मैं ये कैप्टन था. And then they had investigated and they found out, yes, so many years ago there was a naval captain in that name who died with a bullet in the war.
There's another person, Dick Shatfin. He has regressed millions of people. Dick Shatfin, and they have verified their past lives.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go forward.
A collective ego is usually more unconscious than individuals that make up that ego. For example, Ajay, we have read this.
Never
Okay.
mind.
As the new consciousness emerges, some people will feel called upon to form groups that reflect the enlightened consciousness. These groups will not be the collective egos. The individuals who make up these groups will have no need to define their identity through them. They no longer look to any form to define who they are. Even if the members that make up those groups are not totally free of ego yet, there will be enough awareness in them to recognize the ego in themselves or in others as soon as it appears. However, constant alertness is required since the ego will try to take over and reassert itself in any way it can. Dissolving the human ego by bringing it into light of awareness, this will be done. This will be one of the main purposes of these groups, whether they be enlightened businesses, charitable organizations, schools, or communities of people living together. Enlightened collectives will fulfill an important function in the arising of the new consciousness. Just as egoic collectives pull you into unconsciousness and suffering, the enlightened collective can be a vortex for consciousness that will accelerate the planetary shift.
But we'll stop here. We'll not read any more today.
Ashit,
And this, and this,
uh,
this paragraph, read again, please.
Ashit,
Yeah.
one suggestion. This next is the last passage in this chapter. So I suggest we finish it
Okay.
today
Okay.
because
Thank you.
the next one, next paragraph chapter is on pain body, which is
Full-fledged. That's a full-fledged, complete. Thank you,
so
Kapil. I didn't see this.
Okay.
as the new consciousness
Yeah.
emerges.
As the new consciousness emerges, some people will feel called upon to form groups that reflect the enlightened consciousness. These groups will not be the collective egos. The individuals who make up these groups will have no need to define their identity through them. They no longer look to any form to define who they are. Even if members that make up those groups are not totally free of ego yet, there will be enough awareness in them to recognize the ego in themselves or in others as soon as it appears. However, constant alertness is required since the ego will try to take over and reassert itself in any way it can. Dissolving the human ego by bringing it into the light of awareness. This will be one of the main purposes of these groups, whether they will be enlightened businesses, whether they be enlightened businesses, charitable organizations, schools, or communities of people living together. Enlightened collectives will fulfill an important function in the arising of new consciousness. Just as egoic collectives pull you into unconscious and suffering, the enlightened collective can be a vortex for consciousness that will accelerate the planetary shift. Inconvertible proof of immortality. Ego comes about through a split in the human psyche in which identity separates into two parts that we would call I and me, or me and myself. Every ego is therefore schizophrenic. To use the word in its popular meaning of split personality, you live with a mental image of yourself, a conceptual self that you have a relationship with. Life itself becomes conceptualized and separated from who you are when you speak of my life. The moment you say or think my life and believe in what you are saying, rather than it just being a linguistic convention, you have entered the realm of delusion. If there is such a thing as my life, it follows that I and life are two separate things. And so I can also lose my life, my imaginary treasured possession. Death becomes a seeming reality and a threat. Words and concepts split life into separate segments that have no reality in themselves. We could even say that the notion my life is original delusion of separateness, the source of ego. If I and life are two, if I am separate from life, then I am separate from all things, all beings, all people. But how could I be separate from life? What I could be, what I could be there apart from life, apart from being? It is utterly impossible. So there is no such thing as my life, and I don't have a life. I am life. I and life are one. It cannot be otherwise. So, how could I lose my life? How can I lose something that I don't have in the first place? How can I lose something that I am? It is impossible.
Now,
Oof.
isn't it courageous to write
Yes.
something like this in this world of mortality? Look at the bring it down and let's see the highlight of this paragraph. And what is the title of the paragraph? Imagine what he is writing.
Inconvertible proof of immortality.
Isn't it adventurous, visionary? Look at the power in convertibility, inconvertible proof of immortality. I mean, it's a conviction with which he lives his life, and an assurance for us that
Convertible or incontrovertible, it's written.
incontrovertible.
Controversy भी नहीं है इसमें.
Controversy नहीं है.
Incontrovertible.
Incontrovertible proof of immortality, and we are entitled to be there. We have the entitlement to be there, eligibility to be there. Very powerful statement. Incontrovertible proof of immortality. वो है ना, जीसस कहते हैं, Jesus answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee. Incontrovertible. Verily, verily, I say unto thee. Except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Yeah, verily, verily. Incontrovertible, this word. ये पागल हो गया बंदा. ये कैसा लोगों को समझाएगा, तू मरेगा नहीं, तू इमॉर्टल है. पगला गया ये बंदा, तो कोई नहीं सुनता इसका बात. जिस तरह से कोपरनिकस का बात नहीं कोई सुन रहा था, चिल्ला रहा था बेटा, पकड़ के ले गया, जेल में डाल दिया उसको. अरे क्या पागल की तरह बोल रहे हो? सन डज नॉट मूव राउंड द अर्थ. चर्च ने पकड़ लिया उसको. ही वॉज अबाउट टू बी पॉइजन टू डेथ. अब दुनिया देखो, how it all changed. Similarly, this man is the Aristotle of the new earth. He is not writing scripturally. He is writing naturally. Incontrovertible proof of immortality. Still, we will not accept that. Still, we are victims of the culture and the sanskar and the achar and the belief system and the so-called religions, so-called compartments. उसी को अंग बंग चंग करके चैंटिंग करते रहेंगे. नहीं खरीदेंगे इस चीज को. मर जाएंगे भला, फिर भी नहीं बदलेंगे.
मार डालेंगे.
मार डालेंगे.
खुद मरना तो मरो, दूसरों को भी मार डालेंगे.
बेटा का नाम राम रखेंगे, क्योंकि सारी जिंदगी बदमाशी करेंगे. मरने से पहले बेटे को बुलाएगा, राम, राम का नाम होगा, इसलिए बेटा का नाम राम रखा है. कृष्णा रखा है, गौरी रखी है. सारी जिंदगी तो नाम नहीं लेते उसके. मरने के टाइम में राम राम पानी दे जा। ये है पागलपन, ये है पंडितों का आचार। वो मरेगा वैसा ही करके, वो बदलेगा नहीं, सुधरेगा नहीं, उसको समझ में ही नहीं आएगा। मुद्दत से उसकी एकदम डीएनए में डाल दिया गया, वो बदलेगा नहीं, छोड़ेगा नहीं। ये सामने है इनकॉन्ट्रोवर्टिबल प्रूफ ऑफ इमॉर्टैलिटी, फिर भी बदलेगा नहीं, वो मरेगा।
The other day, I saw a movie on Netflix. The name of the movie is The Wonders. Those who have not seen it, I would request that do not miss it. It's a directional marvel, and the movie is based on Irish belief system that prevailed in early 19th century, and how the collective ego was in force and how a lady fought that system. It's about that. It's a directional marvel. I would request that
वंडर,
should you get time, go through The Wonder.
द वंडर,
The Wonder. Yes.
जरूर देखेंगे। थैंक यू, ये तो मैं जरूर देखूंगा। मजा है ना आज? आज तो मुझे तो बहुत मजा आया। बताइए अभी आप लोग, बिफोर वी गो टू द वीडियो। How many of you are in the stairs?
मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ,
Crisp
आपकी
and
आवाज
clear.
ही।
मेरे यहाँ नेटवर्क की प्रॉब्लम है।
अच्छा,
यहाँ पर ठंड के मारे अंदर बैठा हूँ, बाहर जाता हूँ तब जा करके क्लियर हो पाता है।
कोई बात नहीं।
Rajiv, you were saying something?
Sham must be saying something.
No, not me right now, Kapil.
अच्छा नहीं, आपने बोला आवाज आ रही है था, that was you.
नहीं वो
नहीं, वो नहीं बोल रहा है, वो
राम
तो
जी ने कहा था।
विविका,
अच्छा, I'm
विविका
sorry.
बोल रही थी, विविका।
You're on mute.
विविका म्यूट करके रखी है।
अभी कोई बोल भी नहीं रहा है।
अच्छा, हो क्या रहा है?
कपिल तो
मेरी
वीडियो।
आवाज आ रही है? शाम की आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ, आ रही है।
आवाज आई है और किसी की आवाज नहीं।
वो शाम कुछ अजीब ही थी, ये शाम भी अजीब ही है।
ये शाम भी अजीब है।
वो आज भी पास पास। चलो कपिल स्टार्ट करो वीडियो, कोई बोल अब आज आज देखेंगे। वो ऑयस्टर में डाला है ग्रुप में, उसी को
जी
चल।
मैं करता हूँ, गिव मी अ मिनट।
हम्म।
And so this program that I've wanted to create for a long time will walk you through how to create a world-class week. I'm going to show you.
शेयर करो स्क्रीन।
एक सेकंड आशिक।
ओ
एक बार इसको स्टॉप करके फिर शुरू करता हूँ।